Everybody, welcome to another show. I'm going to be doing a review. Tom Rabbit has dropped some pretty good content lately. Three videos, in fact, that I'm going to be doing separate reviews of each. I'm going to try to keep these a little bit shorter. This one, I don't know how long this one's going to go. It's about 30 minutes. Um, so it depends on how often I stop it. But yeah, it was. I laughed out loud as soon as I saw it. It's Darth and Smokey Saint Be Feudin', and yeah, they certainly have been. This one actually goes back a little bit, and I'll preface this a little bit because there's a couple, I think, some pretty good points to be made here. Anyway, thanks for everybody for showing up. I think Skylar Wistance. Hello. I think this is the first time I've seen you in here. If it's not the first time you've been in here and I haven't seen your name in the chat, my apologies. But if it is your first time, welcome. And to everyone else, JC Knott, Algorithm, Josiah Johnson, Procrastinator, Stephanie Tretton, JC Knott, I think I mentioned your name already, but Michael Deaton, Antipode Serial, Tempracer, good to see you guys. Thanks for joining. We're going to jump right into this one. Like I said, this is probably going to be the only one I do tonight. Yeah, once I get through this, I'm probably going to do another one, possibly early tomorrow. Anyway, let's take a look at this and see what's been going on.
Hey, Tom Rabbit! I hope you got this for your recording. Hey, YouTube out there. Tom Rabbit likes to record these. Hey, Tom Rabbit!
Do you believe it is logical for me to accept A without evidence of A based on the fact that I can avoid the logical fallacy of incredulity?
We haven't even begun to discuss that issue. The issue at hand is this. Is your atheism coherent? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Now, your opening line of reasoning, was it a fallacy defending the coherence of atheism?
My opening position was...
I love that sound effect. So, yeah, just to give everybody a little bit of context, I actually covered this particular video. So, I did a video about a month ago, I think, that was, praise I am, and Dawkins put me in my place or something like that. I think it's about a month old now. And this happened on Praise I Am That I Am. I call him the Prairie Am. He's a goofball, and that's his face there in the upper left. The hashtag Free the Gracers, with the cool guy sunglasses on. So they were having this discussion. Well, he was doing his quote unquote criticism video of me, and then Darth jumped in, and Darth obviously agrees with Praise's criticisms of me. But then Darth starts talking about himself and what he does and how he's always he's just constantly, mushroom stamping atheists left and right. And sorry, children, don't Google mushroom stamping. Anyway, so they have this conversation. They're going back and forth. Orgay343 is in there, and I know him from a few other YouTube channels, but I believe Scott Duke, who's in the chat, knows Orgay pretty well. And I think he is, I don't know if he does any streams or not, and if he's, I'm not aware of them, and if he does, my apologies, Orgay, if you hear this later. But I think his background is kind of in geology, I think. Well, anyway, they were having this conversation. Darth, you can already hear Praise has put on the flames in the background because Darth is already starting to, he's kickstarted the dumpster fire. And then Smokey pops up, lower left corner there, purple, looking like Palpatine. Well, Palpatine without a face. And changed his name to Darth Smokey, right? Probably not to draw any attention to himself or anything. And yeah, so we'll see what happens here. So this is if for any of that remember what happens here, I'll play this up. But this is basically a preface to what's been going on. Actually, there was the last time I saw the two of them talking with each other that I remember. I don't know if they had any run-ins on any of the Christian channels that they might cross paths with, or on Clubhouse. There was a video from longer ago where Darth Dawkins was ripping on Nephilim Free. Tom Rabbit captured it. Smokey comes in there, and Darth Dawkins rips into him then because Smokey Saint does not like Cornelius Van Til, calls him a degenerate. Darth Dawkins dislikes that, and he's going to bring that up here.
that.
Do me a favor. If this is Smokey Saint,
would you like me to give a different argument?
We're not dealing with
since we keep going nowhere here. I can try a different argument if you prefer.
This isn't your Discord server.
Praise I am. Please remove him. This
Are you kidding me?
Clown.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, you're a joke if you can't
listen to me. Every time I've had to deal with this guy, he's an unhinged a-hole.
You were unhinged in the last conversation.
I'm asking you as a friend, please remove
as a friend. You don't have friends. You have
conversation here.
You don't have friends. You have minions.
Praise, I'm asking you. He is just ruining the interaction. Please remove.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Praise, I'll ask you again.
You addressed me. I wasn't going to say anything.
I understand, Art, but he's a buddy of mine too. I just can't.
Okay. Listen to me. Well, he's untrustworthy. Okay, he's unhinged. He's unruly, and he makes the most outrageous accusation among somebody who's a great deal. I have in the past. Listen to me.
Where I can actually have 30 seconds.
I'm asking you as a friend if you want to invite him on after I'm over.
He wants a room where he can overtalk me and can't let me talk. That's the only way.
Are you going to keep him in the room or remove him?
Wow. I'm keeping him in the room, Darth.
Hey, Praise. I won't be back to your channel. Okay.
Wow.
I asked you politely.
Are you a child?
The slightly pained tone of voice that Praise has, they're like, "Don't make me choose, Daddy." That kind of thing. So sweet.
Like that? Really? You're a child? Like, wow. That's incredible. That's the most childish thing I've ever seen.
I'm taking Smokey every time. You're my buddy. You're my brother.
Well, thanks, Praise. I didn't mean to put you in a spot like that. No. I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't even. I would never. I would never make such a bombastic, childish. Have I ever told you to really remove anyone from a stream with me, except maybe PMARS? I don't think I've ever asked you to remove anyone.
PMARS is a good removal. I don't blame.
I don't think you're ever wrong if you ask for PMARS.
PMARS is acceptable removal.
I love Darth. I do. I love Darth, but I mean, he can't put me.
I like that. Smokey doesn't think that the full tilt diva that is Darth Dawkins would have reacted that way. I find that hard to believe, given the way the exchanges these guys have had the last couple of times. And then he came in there with the name Darth Smokey instead of his usual Smokey Saint. But yeah, I think he was. Yeah. Embracer points out, Smokey has been trolling Clubhouse too. Yeah, he has, and that's actually where this goes next, because this exchange between Darth Dawkins, the most recent one, was captured in Clubhouse.
In that choice of putting me
Darth,
in like
shame on you. That was very childish and cruel and unethical for you to even put Praise in that spot. There was no reason.
I got one for you. Praise.
Shame on you.
Meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom.
Oh, by the way, I won't be showing up on Praise I Am's YouTube channel anymore.
Okay.
I was just on there and I was talking with a complete moron atheist, and he brings on Smokey Saint.
Oh, brother.
And I asked him.
Also, just for clarification, for context, for anybody who's not familiar with these guys, of these four here, Darth, obviously, but SF Soralius, I don't know who that is. But Redefine is Redefine Living, and Matt there, the Chihuahua with the goggles on, that's Matt Yester. Whether it occasionally goes by the username Raw Matt. Those two guys are young Earth creationists, and they've butted heads with Smokey Saint because Smokey Saint is, I believe, an old Earth creationist. And so Matt Yester and Redefined Living are with a group like, is it John Maddox and Standing for Truth and a few other YouTube users, and they're all these young Earth creationist types. And Smokey Saint kind of ridicules them for that kind of, goofy fundamentalist take on things. And so Matt and Redefined both have access to grind there.
To remove Smokey Saint while I was there, and he refused to do it. And I said, this guy's unhinged. He's a lunatic. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Right? I said, he's called Cornelius Van Til a degenerate. I said the man had an impeccable character. He speaks out of complete ignorance when it comes to criticizing biblical presuppositionalism.
Oh, Raw Matt is not Matt Yester. Oh, my apologies. Okay. Thank you, Bon. I don't know why I thought they were the same. Now this is making me a little bit... I'm wondering who it was I talked to those a couple summers ago, which Matt I was talking to. Oh, well, it's not important.
Right? And Praise AM refused to remove him until I left. So I just told Praise, I go, you know what? I'll never be back. I don't know what's wrong with Praise. That
Raw Matt the Yuck is a different person than this Matt Yester. But I believe Matt Yester is also firmly in the young Earth creationist camp too. So
he would suck up to or be friends with Smokey Saint. Smokey Saint is a pig.
Right. And he has to learn the hard way, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Smokey Saint is beyond a pig.
And then just to make sure that the room, is really, that cherry on the ignorant sundae is Tone Loke. Death End. We need to do a bed check on Grima Worm. I mean, Enlighten. Haven't seen them in a while. Yeah, what happened to Enlighten one? I wonder what he's doing.
Yeah. Yep. He's an unhinged, arrogant lunatic.
Are we pronouncing YEC Yek? Yeah, I don't know. Do we call them Yeckers or are they called Yaks? I don't know. The easiest thing to call them is wrong.
Doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, I've butted heads with Smokey too. I know Praise his channel's like devolved quite a bit recently. He's made a few bad decisions, but
Van Til hated Greg Bonson. Makes me wonder if Darth would agree with Van Til's take on Bonson. Yeah, well, that would be interesting. In a conversation that I saw today between Darth and a Christian, and by the way, welcome Jedi John Piper. I don't think this is the first time you've been here, but first time I think I've highlighted a comment from you. Darth admitted, along with another guy who's a Christian, this particular Christian, he goes by the name Brute Facts. Everybody calls him Eddie, though. And he sounds like he's got a little bit better handle on some of the kind of basic philosophical stuff that a lot of apologists like to truck in. He's like, yeah, I didn't really read a lot of Van Til directly. I got into Van Til from Bonson because I watched every speech or whatever that Bonson ever put out there. And Darth admitted that was his intro into the world of Van Til. Like, he's got his books. I know he keeps he's got a Google Drive of I'm sure purloined versions of the books that he uses. And I think he's got he said he's got almost everything from Van Til. He's admitted that he hasn't read everything from him, but I think he's also said that he's read everything from Bonson, or at the very least watched almost everything. So, and by the way, welcome Maya Atkinson. Good to see you.
Yeah, Smokey's just a clown.
And the atheist that I was talking to was just babbling incoherently, and Praise wouldn't even step in and moderate. And it just turned into a verbal clusterfuster. The guy had the mind of an ADD.
He wouldn't step in and moderate. There was no debate going on. It was a discussion between you and the host of the channel who was doing a reaction video, a review of my stuff. The fact that he showed up, he doesn't have to moderate between two people and like it's a debate. You guys just show up to chat. You were the one that turned it in. You you blew it up. This is really some really typical narcissistic behavior here.
Kid, 15-year-old, and he wouldn't step in and moderate.
What was the name? Who was the atheist? What was his name?
He was some idiot who was just a motor mouth. See, when they can't converse in an adult manner, they just become motor mouths, like they're at the 8th grade cafeteria table.
8th grade cafeteria. He talks about the cafeteria table a lot, but I don't know why he specifically mentions the grade here. Jedi John Piper. Yeah, Van Til near the end of his life got very upset with what the right wing of precept apologetics. I think maybe there was more to that. Nope, don't see it. Maybe that got cut off. But yeah, no, I'd heard that too. That Van Til didn't like kind of where these guys ran with it. I do have a little bit of a hard time totally because a lot of these guys have run, from Darth Dawkins and a lot of the other ones that really traffic in Van Til stuff, have all kind of gotten into this thing where they clusterfuster. Yeah, that's some grandma cussing there. Darth is cheesy AF, indeed. Yeah, and Van Til would hate Darth by implication. Yeah, I think so, because I don't know what it is. Like, if Van Til had as much of had a difficulty separating the realms of ontology and epistemology in terms of like philosophical disciplines, philosophical topics. But Darth's not the only one that has a problem with kind of conflating these two. It's one thing to see people kind of conflate the two, especially if they're on the kind of like the skeptic side or the atheist side, and they're not really into philosophy. They're getting pulled into some of these philosophical topics from what the Christian apologists are sort of bringing up, because some of the atheists, the skeptics, are coming in from like a science background or something like that. So I think that even explains why people start talking past each other when it comes to like, when they get into their arguments about deductive logic and induction and all those kinds of things, because those are slightly different from a philosophical perspective than they are from the scientific disciplines. But instead of like kind of like making sure that stuff is narrowed down and making sure terms are identified and everything's settled, and I actually put this more on the Christians, because they're the ones that tend to. I think they might have been the first ones to sort of kind of drift into some of this philosophical stuff first, kind of draw this stuff out to kind of weaponize it in a way, because they were using it on people that were arguing from more of a natural sciences or hard sciences background. I could be wrong there. I could be, that is a generalization. I agree, and maybe I've got the score on that wrong. But
it's beyond me that Praise I Am has been so bamboozled by that piece of garbage Smokey's saying. It's just amazing. I mean, just think about it, Matt. Not that we worship at the altar of Cornelius Van Til, but we have a lot of respect and admiration for the man. He left. He led an impeccable life from a human standpoint. And yet Smokey Saint comes along and calls him a degenerate. I mean, that is beyond.
What does that? So what? He led a remarkable life. Was he blameless or something? And I guess I don't understand that. Hasn't Darth acknowledged that someone who is a non-believer could live an exemplary life, possibly even kind of a, maybe even not a sinless life, obviously, because we're all born to sin, but a good life and be a good person. But ultimately, that doesn't mean jack shit if your theology is wrong, if you're not living a biblical life, right? So I'm not sure what Darth's appealing to here, right? If Darth's wrong and Smokey's right, and Van Til was some kind of theological degenerate, it didn't matter how good a life he led. If we're taking Darth's take on, people's lifestyles into consideration.
Undisgusting. Yeah. There are rumors circulating about Smokey Saint, which I won't repeat because nothing has been confirmed or verified. Okay. Yeah. So because I've been the victim of false rumors and slanderous statement, even someone who I despise and I believe is a completely disreputable person, that I think it would be equally wrong, right? Yeah. But here's a guy who has scandalous rumors circulating about him, which I'm not suggesting they're true. I don't know whether they're true or false, and yet he defames Cornelius Van Til as a degenerate. And then when I asked him to instantiate that, he gave the most cockamamie defense. It was just beyond belief. And then Praise I Am is fooled by this guy. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Yeah. And I told Praise, I said, I won't be back to your channel again. I said, I borderline.
Just like that. I won't be back. Van Til equals Jesus Christ. For Darth, maybe. But it's weird though, because if he's like, maybe this comes from because I don't think Bonson's real. He tends to name drop Van Til a lot. Like he gives Van Til credit for some of the stuff that he's doing, but I don't think that brought a smile to Van Til's face, because I think he blamed Bonson for getting a lot of that crap wrong and spreading this kind of fundy turn that's taken place.
Begged him to remove this disreputable individual, this troll, this pseudo intellectual.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't do it. Okay.
Pseudo intellectual. How does Darth know that Smokey's not an intellectual? I mean, I know he's not, but I think I have a longer track record with him, and have seen him around and know a little bit more about his background than maybe a few other people. So I don't know that he even has a bachelor's degree, so I wouldn't call him a scholar, but I don't know that Darth knows him all that well at all. So it's like, well, you're just a pseudo scholar. Like, you can have a PhD as far as, as deep a dive as you do on people. I mean, this is a guy who doesn't really recognize the voices of people he talked to the day before. Like, or when he thinks, and oftentimes when he thinks he identifies oh, you sound like this person, he's completely got it wrong.
Okay. Now, if I came in after him, I would know full well that he was there.
Yeah.
But he brings him in after the fact, knowing how much bad blood there is between the two of us, and that I've made very clear accusations of Smokey Saint's outrageous chronic conduct.
Yeah.
And he still he praise wouldn't even say, okay, for the sake of getting along, Darth, you have another 20 minutes here. Then in 20 minutes, I'm going to let Smokey Saint on, and then he can speak. And if you want, you can leave, which I would have respected that. But no, he wanted to keep Smokey Saint. Why somebody would want to kiss Smokey Saint's ass, I have no idea.
It wasn't really about kissing his ass. You literally made him choose between two people that he likes. I mean, Praise doesn't dislike you, Darth, because he chose Smokey. It's that he spends more time with Smokey, and it's not about kissing his ass. But like, what you did was unethical, and abusive. I love the fact that he spent that much time. I'm glad that Tom Rabbit put that in there just to preface this whole thing. But that was just Darth in pure mean girl territory, justifying himself being a mean girl.
You said you understood Van Til. Can you give me an explanation? I'll be silent while you're giving it.
I did on those two videos.
No, I want you to give it
Remember when he just said that he would be silent?
right now. I will be silent. Give me your explanation of Van Til's view on autonomous reasoning.
I already did that in the videos. I'm not gonna.
No. I want you to give it to us right now, because I didn't hear your explanation of it.
Darth wants it given to him by Smokey Saint. You heard it here, folks. Give it to him, Smokey. He wants it.
Would you give it to us right now? I will be silent while you are giving that.
Okay, sure. Autonomous human reasoning is just the creaturely perspective, the personal autonomous human reasoning negated of an ontology.
No, that is not how Van Til expresses it. Okay.
Okay. How does it?
Have you read any? Have you read? Please do not overtalk me. You're not going to get away. You're not going to get away with overtalking here. I don't want to have to mute you. Okay. Now, have you read? Good. Run away. By you leaving, we'll show you you're a fake, a phony, and a fraud. Now, okay. Now, please do not overtalk. Please do not overtalk. Please do not overtalk.
Hey, I got an idea. Instead of this being this way, I would.
No, this is what he does, James. This is what he does, James. Listen, James, just let it rest for a second. Smokey, I want to ask you a question. Have you read any of Van Til's primary works?
Darth, I just want to.
Most outrageous and bombastic people attacking biblical presuppositionalism. All I want to know from Smokey: have you read any of Van Til's books?
Darth, what I'm offering to do is something more productive than this turning into like you yelling at Smokey for the next 10 minutes.
I'm not yelling at him. I'm raising my voice.
James is a prophet because he just called it.
Because he's over talking.
I'm just saying is that I have a YouTube channel where I can host debates. And
Okay,
if
well, fine. We can talk right now. I'm asking Smokey, have you read any of Van Til's books?
I'm not going to answer his question, so the answer is mine.
Okay, see, he's a fake, a phony, and a fraud. This is a guy.
That doesn't follow from that answer. Like, I love it when Darth does this kind of stuff, right? Like, okay, how many of this person's books have you read? I'm not going to answer that. Then you're a fraud. Okay. I guess I'm just going to have to. I mean, at that point, he could have accused Smokey Saint of being a Quaker. It would have landed with just as much of a thud.
Guy who gets up on his YouTube channel and he defecates on biblical presuppositionalism, and he hasn't even read.
Well, I mean, biblical presuppositionalism is kind of like a pile of feces anyway, so it's just poop on poop. So,
have you read any of Greg Bonson's
books? All of them.
Which did you read?
I just told you, Darth. I read all of them 20 years ago when I discovered that this was the play.
Okay, you read which book of Van Til's?
I still.
Yeah, it's a good point. The room's name is Let's Chat. Should be listen to DD yell at everyone. Yeah, if you have like a perky title and Darth shows up, maybe change the title or don't let Darth in, because he's going to kind of he's going to clash. Not just with the theme that you just set up, but with everybody else in the room that doesn't agree with him 100%.
Still, I don't have my question answered. By the way, he's not going to.
Yeah. Listen to me. You're not going to get away with this, okay? Which of Van Til's books did you read that was most memorable to you?
He said I was wrong about presuppositionalism around.
I'm asking you a question. You're not going to get away with what you usually do, okay? This bait and switch.
2 days later.
By the way, if anyone else wants to raise their hand and come,
I forgot that this had actually gone over this period, this much time. So this is an interesting title. And I'm guessing he's the only moderator in there, so this must have been on his Clubhouse channel, Worldviews in Conflict. So I wonder when this took place, because he, like I said, I don't see him on Clubhouse that much anymore. But I love the title. Are there any non-evasive atheists on the planet? Non is N-O-N. Are there any non-evasive atheists on the planet? Like, way to go. Maybe that's not Darth's fault. Maybe somebody made him a mod and that mod had to skip out for a little bit, and that's what we're looking at here. But, somebody needs to try harder.
Come up and agree or disagree, ask questions, okay? Yeah, come on up, Smokey. Let's see if you can act like a human being.
Interesting projection there, Darth.
Yeah, good. Then get the hell out of here. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, hyphen would work too. Good catch, JC Nut.
Okay, you have mental problems, dude. Okay, people have sent me clips of your recordings. You do not understand Van Tilian apologetics.
Well, neither do you, Darth, because if most of what Darth is doing with his Van Tilian apologetics is from the Bonson take, and there are some issues with that. Like I said, I haven't gotten too deep into Van, because Van Til is not a good philosopher. I'm not trying to say like Van Til might have had something going on and Bonson just showed up and turned, was crappy with it. I think Van Til's philosophy was junk. He rather shamelessly kind of took theology and then crammed it turducken style, into philosophy, and then hoped that by doing that, that just like made it unassailable or something. I'm being grotesque and very oversimplifying things, but when Bonson comes along, it's just he ends up coming around with this sort of like hyperactive spoiled brat kind of take on it, where he basically just weaponizes it like, well, actually, it follows, and I don't think it's necessarily wrong. Bonson just basically takes some of the entailments and follows them to some of their worst conclusions, and then is like, okay, well, then we're justified in basically saying that our epistemology is ontology, or however it is they get what they're getting. But to me, it just seems like you can only know, in sort of the Bonson style apologetic, you only know what's real, and what's real is God. That's all you can know. That's because that's what's knowable and that's what's true. And you know that because God revealed it to you. It's just this vicious, circular, stupid, question begging, special pleading nonsense. And it takes also and kind of turduckens epistemology into ontology, or maybe the other way around, and then pretends like by doing that and conflating that, it makes it unassailable. Like you just can't out big brain the big brain way they made their God philosophically bulletproof. All it did was turn a bunch of obnoxious a-holes like Darth here into a bunch of epistemology and ontology conflating morons. And everyone on the internet gets to deal with their abuse because he sits here sanctimonious, self-righteous, haughty as hell, just fueling his narcissism every time he's doing anything in one of these social media channels, getting this crap wrong. It's a crap apologetic. He should read more R.C. Sproul, get away from this nonsense. Actually, what Darth needs to do, he needs to find a Christian writer named Pete Enns. Go check out that, Darth.
Reading that paper, which I have, does not make you.
And no, that's E-N-S. That I don't want to. I realize that could sound like Pete Enns, E-N-D-S. That's not like a porno name. So please don't. Like he's an actual Christian guy. Sorry, kids.
Understand it. By the way, I got some bad news for you. When you cited something, okay, you made a couple of mistakes that you're not even aware of. But since you don't want to come up, get the hell out of here.
Get the hell out of here. Why is he trying to? Maybe he's tired, but it sounds like he's trying to talk like Smokey, because Smokey's always got that lazy kind of like valley guy. He's from that area. He's from the I don't want to say Central Valley disparagingly, but like the Southern Central Valley of California. So he's got that talk happening.
Oh, you want to come up? Come on up.
Okay, you told him to get the hell out of there twice, and now it's, oh, you want to come up? Well, come on up. I mean, he's such a prima donna.
Why don't you even want to like just let me even listen, Darth? Like, what is up with that?
Okay.
Smokey Saint, and I know I'm pretty sure he hates this stuff, but he talks like his head is a giant bong. Like that's all I picture. If all I hear is his voice, it's
So Smokey, you stated that you took a seminary course on apologetics. Is that correct?
Several of them. Sure, one of them was on apologetics.
Okay, what seminary?
Yeah, no, I don't release private information like that.
Oh, it's not private information because seminaries are public institutions.
Yeah,
Okay, hear that? He asked him where he went to seminary. I'm not going to tell you where I went. That's private information. Like, yeah, but it's a public institution. So yeah, at a public institution that happens to be right next door to where I live. Ding dong. Like what? Like does Darth not like? Darth won't tell people. Darth for the longest time wouldn't admit to his level of education because it was too personal. Like, people would ask him like, have you studied any of this stuff in like a collegiate setting? You know, like no, I don't answer personal questions like that. But okay. But here, Smokey should be expected to reveal the name and location of the seminary that he attended, and no worries, no one would ever in this circle of people ever dox anyone. Wink, finger gun.
It would, yeah.
I don't.
Okay, so I think you're full of shit. I think you're lying.
Seminary, I'm not going to answer that.
No, I've never made that claim.
Oh, you never went to seminary?
Now, so for example, so you claim that did you purchase?
If you're talking about Smokey, good question. I think he has some college. He says seminary, so maybe he's got a bachelor's degree. Seminary is usually postgraduate, unless it's one of those seminaries where it's like you can have so many credits and then get in. You know, some law schools even do that. So with Smokey, who knows? And then the only thing I've ever heard from Smokey is that he claims to be he has a business and he makes the money and whatever. Darth, who knows what his education is? If it's anything beyond community college, he needs to adjust his attitude because he will not tolerate a community college lecture from anyone. So it sounds like he's got some PTSD about that level of education.
Van Til's books?
Seminaries have something called libraries.
Right. And on one occasion, you said you read all of them, and then on another video you said you didn't. Can you explain that?
Well, yeah, when you were just interrogating me and saying, how many did you read? How many did you read? How many did you read? And you wouldn't answer any of my questions.
Yeah, you're filibustering.
I wish Darth would not use that word. No one is filibustering in a conversation. Knock that shit. You're not on the floor of Congress or something. Like, knock it off. You're not in a legislative deliberating body. Stop accusing people of filibustering. Anybody that uses that term should be taken out into the street and slapped across the face with a large halibut every time you use the word filibuster. Stop it. It's not something that people are doing on social media in a conversation, even if the conversation is absurd.
I'm just telling you what happened.
Okay. So. Okay. Now, okay. You were quoting that paper. I downloaded the paper. Okay.
Yes, thank you. God equals the square root of -1. That's what it was. Darth, are you a scholar? Psycho wants to know. It was that video, and Psycho just rips into him for quite a bit. Yep. And I'm pretty sure Darth's reason for not answering his questions reveals too much information.
And you remember that you said you were quoting Van Til?
Remember
that? Okay. Do you remember you quoted a book?
Several times, yeah. There were several.
Right. And what was the title of the book?
One of them was Pushing the Antithesis by Bonson.
No, that's not what you were referring to. You were that. By the way, that book only recently came out.
Okay.
Okay. I'm talking about one of Van Til's books in the paper. You cited it.
Well, there was. Let's see. There was Defending the Faith.
Oh.
There was epistemology. There was metaphysics of apologetics. There was.
Okay, yeah, that's the one.
Is anyone else picturing Smokey talking towards his like the speakerphone? You know, like it's sitting on the floor across from him while he's doing like he's in a handstand or something. Like there's something weird about this, like the way he's.
It's the one that you cited. Okay. Do you have a copy of that book?
Metaphysics of Apologetics?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No.
Okay. So the quotation that was taken, do you know that it was in context?
Okay.
I said, do you know that it was taken in context?
Do I know if it was taken in context?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think there was any context that would have changed what it said, but if you
no, okay, so you don't have a copy of that book, right?
Do I have a copy of Metaphysics of Apologetics? No, I personally physically do not have a copy. I read it, as I said.
Speaking of physical, this is physically painful to listen to these two talk about this. Like, what in the, like, one of you get to the effing point.
20 years ago in seminary. So.
Oh, you read it 20 years ago in seminary.
I already said that. I said that.
Okay, and could you? Okay, now, I'm finding that difficult to believe because that material was not. It was not a mass market publication.
Okay, we had several things of Van Til, Bonson, Whitfield that I weren't necessarily thinking were put out in publication. We had stuff given to us. I'm not sure if you know, but seminary libraries are generally given by private people who have libraries who then give access to their materials so that the students can learn. That's how our library was compiled. So I would,
right. So you read that book 20 years ago.
I'm not even sure if it was actually a book. It was part of the collection of papers.
Did you read it?
Compiled together. Well, yes, Darth. Again, I read multiple chunks of various resources that we had on Cornelius Van Til. In fact, I'll admit that I didn't read much Bonson because that was.
Can you explain to me then, if you've read all of Van Til, many of Van Til's works, how is it that you have gotten so much of Van Til's thought, including the idea of autonomous reasoning, incorrect? Can you explain that to me?
That's just.
This is going to get super weird, and I kind of wish I'd actually prefaced something earlier, but yeah, I'm going to let this go on and then I'm making a point here.
The claim I played your.
That's not a claim. That's a question.
Yeah, Well, Darth, I played your contradiction today, where in other rooms you say that humans do have autonomous human reasoning.
Okay, well, you're now changing the subject. Okay, now if you want to bring that up, I'll be glad to discuss that momentarily. Okay, when I asked you to give me an explication of Van Til's use,
you could just say explanation. I love it when Darth just switches into the lesser used words and like, this will make me sound smarter.
Of the term autonomous reasoning and how it applies, you didn't even come close.
Well, it did.
Agreed. Simus Van Til was a bit. Actually, one of these days I'll probably get into it a little bit after I've read a little bit more. There's a part in the book that I'm reading now. I think it's the Defending Christianity one. He gives a definition of God that's basically catastrophic. It's really interesting. And then he tries to roll from that one on to a definition from this definition of God, we Christians have an unassailable, perfectly defensible, basically just mega steamroller of an attack plus defense for the faith. Like we're gonna spread it far and wide, and it's never gonna weaken, and it's never gonna be doubted. And I don't know if he ever says it's never going to be doubted, but it's basically like it's just killer. It isn't, but he liked to think that it was.
I guess it just depends what day we ask you.
No. I said to you, give me your best rendition of your understanding of Van Til's concept of autonomous reasoning.
Okay, so he wants Smokey to give him an explanation. How, does Smokey understand Van Til's concept of autonomous reasoning? Tom Rabbit did a good job of setting this thing up and providing all the preface for this in advance. But for the purpose of this discussion that they're having here, roll this back about 3 months ago, and there was a conversation that was had. Tom Rabbit did a video on it, and I think it was Darth versus Smokey. And during the video, I think this was occurring on Discord, Darth Dawkins was, so it might have been 4 months ago, Darth was on a Discord channel, and he was in something kind of heated, and I think he was talking to a YouTuber Discord user named Nephilim Free. Older guy, quite wacky. They were talking about something. Smokey here shows up and had some kind of question, right? Well, Darth abandons everything that he was talking about with Nephilim Free, drops it and pivots quickly over to Smokey and starts going after him about Smokey's allegations, his calling Van Til a degenerate. How dare you? And why do you think Van Til was a degenerate? So Smokey starts to lay out what he thinks, one of the reasons he thinks he's a degenerate. And the one point that he almost completely gets out is that Van Til used certain philosophical terms. He defined them in his own way, right? Basically, he had idiosyncratic definitions of certain philosophical concepts, and he would kind of it was a little bit unclear sometimes when he was using a term if he was referring to his own idiosyncratic definition of the term, or if he was referring to sort of the generally accepted philosophical definition of the term. That's way too long. Smokey didn't explain it that long. He didn't get enough time to say, but that was essentially his thing. Darth just about blew an O-ring at that point and demanded to know, like, how Smokey could substantively, how he could substantiate this claim, and who did this, what critics, cite chapter and verse, what on earth was happening here, that who said that Van Til was coming up with his own special definitions for certain philosophical concepts. Flash forward to now, Darth wants Smokey to explain Van Til's concept of human autonomy. Yeah. So he conceded the very heated discussion they were having months ago. And now he's going to get into this where essentially he is going to attempt to discredit Smokey because Smokey has read Van Til, doesn't agree with Van Til, and is yet somehow not a big enough Van Til fanboy. It's bizarre.
Now, having read many, if not most, of Van Til's works so far, and I plan on completing them, as well as many of Bonson's material, You didn't even come close to representing the Van Tillian conceptualization and definition of autonomous reasoning. Now, if you understand Van Til's thought, how is it that you didn't accurately represent Van Til's concept of autonomous reasoning?
I believe I did, actually.
Good. Well, give it to me again right now. What is Van?
In fact, what I'd like to avoid what happened last time, Darth, if I could.
No, this is not your room. You're not going to filibuster. I asked you a question, and if you don't want to answer it, you can get the hell out. Now, I would like for you, you're not going to pull the usual shtick that you do. Okay?
The usual shtick. I like he's already treating Smokey like he would treat any atheist or pagan or Catholic. Sorry. Yeah, by the way, if you guys don't, I don't know that you really have to mute Otangelo. If he's just, trying to, even if he's kind of trying to prod you guys or troll you a little bit, if he starts doing the copy pasta stuff where it's just whole chunks of his blog, feel free to time that stuff out. But other than that, if he's just trying to spam the live chat with that junk, then, do your worst, administratively speaking. But otherwise, don't worry about him. Unless he starts getting hateful. If he says something really, you guys know what to do.
Now, I want you to repeat again, what is Van Til's concept of autonomous reasoning?
Is it different than the general philosophical one?
Give me Van Til's conceptualization.
No answer to that clarifying question. That's interesting.
Of autonomous reasoning.
I don't know whether I'm supposed to give you just Van Til's or the one that's actually part of general philosophy.
I want you to give me Van Til's understanding, definition, and conceptualization of autonomous reasoning.
Okay, now again, Darth, is it? I can't just answer.
That's where it's going, but no, that atheist can't answer that straw man. Just gets annoying. It's all copy paste at this point from him. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I can kind of see that.
Can you tell me, is it different from the general philosophical?
Okay. Definition? Do you understand when Van Til invokes the term autonomous reasoning? Do you understand what Van Til means by that?
If he means the way the rest of philosophy does, then yeah.
No, listen, Smokey, listen. I wasn't born yesterday, okay? If you think you're going to bullshit your way out of it, it's not going to work.
My worst would have a rubber ball gag in Otangelo's mouth. I was going to come back at that and say, I meant administratively. Do your worst administratively. But then I'm afraid Benghazi's response would be, yeah, so did I. I meant that too.
Wasn't born yesterday. I will ask you again. And by the way, you do know that somebody's recording this in here. It's going to go up onto YouTube. Now,
I hope so.
I want to, you're full of crap. Now, I want you.
Yeah, no, it did go up, and unfortunately, I should have illustrated it with a little clip from one of the, from that video before. But Darth, you were freaking out about the fact that Smokey had made the claim that one of the reasons he thought that Van Til was a degenerate was because he had idiosyncratic definitions of philosophical terms, and you threw that back in his face and demanded to know who said that and how they substantiated it. And here you are asking Smokey. He's asked the clarifying question, are you talking about the philosophic kind of agreed upon idea in philosophy, what autonomy means? We're talking about autonomous thinking, or are you talking about something? And Darth has clarified now, when Van Til talks about autonomy and autonomous thinking, what's he mean by that? I would take it that means that Darth is now implicitly conceding Van Til does have an idiosyncratic definition of autonomy or autonomous reasoning, because otherwise he would have been able to answer Smokey's question. They say ask or answer. I'm getting tired. He would have been able to answer Smokey's question just directly instead of engaging in this weird ping pong.
You to explain to me what is Van Til's definition and conceptualization of autonomous reasoning. You told me you read many of Van Til's works, right?
Correct.
Do you have a correct understanding of Van Til's concept of autonomous reasoning?
Well,
because it's a different concept of autonomous reasoning than what you'll get elsewhere. Special.
I guess since he rewrote it for himself, maybe I don't.
There you
go. Do you have you have been boasting that you understand Van Til. You have boasted that you understand his apologetic. Autonomous reasoning is a key concept within Van Tilian theology and apologetics. Do you understand Van Til's conceptualization of autonomous reasoning?
It depends. Yeah, it's paradoxical. You have to. I guess you decide which contradiction you want to take as to his.
Do you understand? You see, you're bullshitting again, and you are royally. Do not overtalk me, or I will boot you from the room. If you.
But Darth continues to overtalk people and interrupt. Like, I mean, this is a pat observation, but it needs to be pointed out here because that's obvious. Like, Smokey's giving an answer, and I'm not defending Smokey. I find him repellent, but he was starting to give an answer, and I would have thought, as a supposed ostensible brother in Christ, Darth would give him the benefit of the doubt, but Darth's not.
Behave badly. If you behave badly, like you have on many other occasions where you turn into an absolute mental case, I will eject you without warning. Okay. Now, I have asked you how many times now, multiple times, for you to give me Van Til's concept of autonomous reasoning. Now, do you have a correct understanding? Please do not overtalk me. Do you have a correct understanding of Van Til's concept of autonomous reasoning?
Yes, both contradictory ones. Yes.
Okay. Now. Okay. You don't need to posture. Okay. I really don't give two craps about your evaluation because I know from listening to you, you don't.
And yet you're quizzing him. If you don't give a crap about his evaluation, why are you asking him questions? Why does Darth insist on contradicting himself in such obviously stupid ways? This is something that a kid might say, and you'd have to be like, "Honey, it's nap time. You've been running yourself into that wall for the past 25 minutes, and your eyes are crossed. You need to stop and just lie down for a while. Let the concussion do its work."
Know what the fuck you're talking about. Now, give me what Van Til's concept of autonomous reasoning is.
Okay, Van Til's, not the rest of philosophy, but just Van Til alone concept of autonomy is that God himself has autonomy because everyone else's reasoning flows from Van Til and no one has any actual autonomy.
Everything flows from Van Til?
It flows from the ontology of God, sorry. Apologies. So there is no actual human autonomy, there is no actual human free will because he was a reform apologist.
Okay, now, did you say that we do and can start with autonomous reasoning?
Yes, we all do. You say.
Notice that here, and I don't think they get back to this, Darth doesn't actually say, after all that crap, right, he doesn't acknowledge whether or not Smokey got that definition of Van Tilian autonomous reasoning correct or incorrect. He just moves on to the next thing.
Said that too.
Okay. No, I did not.
Yeah, you did. I have a clip. Sure, I can play it.
No, you are misrepresenting what I said. Okay.
You literally said, and I quote.
Now, I want to ask you a very simple question. I want to ask you. Listen, this is not going to go well for you. Now, I want you.
It's already not going well for either of you. When Darth says something like that, that is such a weird passive aggressive threat. This isn't going to go well for you. That is the kind of this is when I think that Tom is totally accurate when he was on with J.L. Warren and was talking about how Darth has a real yen for watching cop videos and stuff. Like he really likes it when cops taser people, and you can kind of hear it in the way that's kind of like his whole approach. Like it must have been at some point in his life he got exposed to Greg Bonson, and he's told people that he's been a Christian ever since the early 80s, but at some point he was exposed to Greg Bonson, and he was probably sitting there and he realized that with Bonson's weird take it was an extra obnoxious spin on what was already kind of an obnoxious theological thing, the precept stuff, that with that in mind he could then combine that with his cop fetish, right? And that he could basically engage in conversations with with non-believers and other Christians that disagree with him, and basically run the entire thing like he's a cop that's pulled them over. He's pulled them over to the side of the road, and he's demanding license and registration. Like, that's essentially what this is. That's how entitled Darth is. Like, he gets into a conversation and he has the right to shove his head all the way up you to figure out how wrong you are in every which way, because you must be wrong. You're not Darth and you disagree with him. So that's two things you got against you right there. But that's his whole take. So everything's like, this isn't going to go good for you. Your evening's about to get a lot worse. You know what? I'm going. All the stuff that he does, talking about their maturity, their inability to concentrate, constantly repeating refrains to listen to me, and you need to focus, and we need to deal with. Like, he's not a focused person. He's just an old guy with a lot of undiagnosed or misdiagnosed mental issues that goes online to rant and ramble like this with half a heart on. Sorry, that's a bad image. I shouldn't have done that because I feel bad that I brought that part up. But anyway, sorry. I'll wrap up the psychologizing for a little bit.
There is a term that Van Til uses regularly that he couples with autonomous reasoning with respect to humans. What is that common terminology that he couples with autonomous reasoning? No, you're not understanding it.
That's what you said last
time. Van Til regularly in his writings would couple a certain phraseology conjuncted with the term autonomous. Okay. Reasoning.
Autonomous human reasoning. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. What is the phraseology that Van Til used when he was implicating man? When he coupled with the term autonomous, what was it?
Autonomous. I only assume you mean you're talking about autonomous human.
Van Til would regularly, and Bonson would quote this regularly too. If you understand, I said this the other day to Matt Yester, and he was
cherry-picked references.
Okay, what I'd like to know from you, okay, what is the kind of the terminology that he used conjuncted with the term autonomous that he used to describe and indict the unbeliever?
I've read some Van Til. I've been exposed to, and not just like, obviously the book. I should stop saying that. At this point, anybody who watches me know that I've read some Van Til. But any of the stuff that I've been familiarized with over the years, whether it's YouTube videos or whatever, I have no idea what Darth's talking about here. And I've heard a lot of the kind of phrases and different things that a lot of presuppers have lifted off of not just Van Til, but also Bonson. I have no idea what he's talking about. There's a 2-word phrase that gets conjuncted. If that's a word, please let me know. That I've never heard conjunct used in that tense before. He could have just said it's paired with. I have no idea where he's going with this. And if Smokey doesn't know this, I guess this means Smokey deserves hell. Or is it going to prove that Smokey's a fraud? He read some Van Til stuff 20 years ago, whenever he was doing his seminary. I don't think Smokey ever finished whatever that seminary was. He doesn't have a master's in anything in that, as far as I know. But he's supposed to get this deep cut. This is bizarre. I mean, Darth asks some really strange things of people, but this is not like he's asking about like he's figured out that the two of them are basically Reformed theologians, or in the Reformed theology side of things, and he's asking about some kind of shared theological precept that they should both be aware of. He's asking about a word choice that's frequently why the hell does that matter?
What is that terminology conjoined with autonomous?
As far as I know, we're talking about autonomous human.
So you don't know. It's two words that he attaches before autonomous that he uses as an epithet for unbelievers. He does so on a regular basis in his lectures and in his writings. Since you're familiar with Van Til's concept, okay, of autonomous reasoning, what is that 2-word addition to autonomy that he uses.
Yeah, not sure what you're talking about, Darth.
So you don't know, do you?
No, I bet there's a lot of things you don't know. I could pull out of Van Til.
Okay, so for example,
I don't know why Smokey. Well, I do know why Smokey did that, because Smokey's also kind of an obnoxious jerk. So
you don't know. So
not kind of, he's a complete obnoxious jerk.
So you claimed that I'm going to tell you why it matters, because you're a bullshitter. You don't know what you're talking about when it comes to presuppositional apologetics. Okay, you.
But if he knew the 2 words that Van Til frequently paired with autonomous reasoning, then he'd be a pro. Are we left to conclude that that's where Darth is going with that? Like this. I'm not tracking this as far as like desperate attempts to flex. This is truly, sadly desperate.
Regularly caricaturize it. Okay, when you first started doing this and quoting Dan's story, and I sent you that book, you misrepresented it. Okay, now you categorically stated in your first video that the presuppositional attitude, okay, from Van Til and those who are like-minded, is that an appeal to evidences whatsoever is shit. Okay, you conveyed that
with the gentleman in the room.
Okay, right now you stated this several times when you were quoting Dan's story. Do you recall?
In his introduction of his apologetic book.
Yes, and you quoted him and you concurred that biblical presuppositionalism, as reflective of Van Til, said that it is total garbage from that perspective to invoke or appeal to any evidences whatsoever.
You don't
okay, that is a completely okay. Van Til said the exact opposite, moron.
Well,
Van Til Van Til stated. Do you remember the book I sent you?
Yes, I remember the lying apologetic.
Okay, now in that book. In that book, it's cited, as well as Bonson cited, Van Til's position on evidences. Van Til.
Now we've moved into Van Til's position on evidence. Notice we did not hear what those 2 words were. The 2 words that Van Til and even Bonson frequently used when they were talking about autonomous reasoning. He Smokey, with a lot of torture, kind of admitted that he didn't know what that meant. He doesn't know. Darth didn't tell him. Darth didn't say what it was. I find that weird. Now he's moved on to, well, Van Til believed that evidence was fine. Yeah. I don't think Bonson did, though.
Was pro presenting evidences. Okay. Are you aware of that?
Does he ever say what the 2-word phrase is? LOL, I'm on the edge of my seat here. I believe it is would be. Yeah, maybe with the hyphen. Would be autonomous reasoning. Maybe. If it is, and oh lordy, if it is, that isn't informative enough or provide enough of any kind of change. It's only a slight emphasis on what he's already talking about. Like would be like, okay, so when Smokey said that, because he started rolling into it, the idea that you don't, as a creature, part of the distinction between the creator and the creature is that you don't really have your own autonomous reasoning. Everything is dependent upon the ontology that God has provided in your reality. That would make autonomous reasoning, it would be, right? It would be sort of, your autonomous reasoning is illusory. That's it. So Smokey answered his question, but because he didn't say, if would be is what he's looking for, because he didn't get the exact words out, Darth is going to conclude that he's wrong, even though Smokey gave an explanation that if Darth were capable of being charitable, should have accepted as Smokey more or less being in the ballpark of getting it right. So do I win spatchcock points if I'm right? Yeah, as soon as I develop a system of spatchcock points, I mean, I work with spreadsheets. I don't know if I want to do spatchcock point spreadsheets, and from my hobby too. So I'll let you know, Jedi John Piper.
It depends. Again, the contradiction is
no, sir. You stated that the Ventilian position and the biblical presuppositional. It's on your first video. Do you remember when you were critiquing my interaction?
Okay, it might have been. He might have said that on his first video, but he answered that question now. Although, to be fair, he's getting into the evidentialism thing. Smokey does hold to this, right? And Smokey might be wrong when it comes to Van Til. He just might be. From my understanding of it is the emphasis where somebody like Til Bruggencate used to do this in his seminars. Don't use evidentialism if you're going into presuppositionalism, because evidentialism presupposes that there's this kind of shared thing where we can talk about the evidence and we can talk about evidence and it will lead us to the conclusion that there is a God, even though as far as I'm concerned, and actually Smokey says this too, reasoning would get you there anyway, even if you were trying to, whether you're reasoning from something empirical or just pure logic or pure rationality, whatever, you'd still be doing the same thing. You're still going from the input that you're getting, the stuff in your mind, making, dealing with that, reasoning about it, mulling it over, and then making a conclusion. I think that Til Bruggencate and others picked up that emphasis from Greg Bonson. Bonson, I think, used to say that. If I'm totally wrong about that, please let me know. But I think that's where that may come from. So in that case, Smokey may not be entirely right here, because Smokey basically tries to say, no, Van Til was against the idea of evidence, of using evidence. I don't think Van Til was. To be fair, I think both of these guys are wrong. I think Van Til had said both things. That he had basically given enough where somebody like Bonson had run with the idea that, well, actually, you probably shouldn't. You don't really need to appeal to evidentialism if you're going with presuppositionalism. In that sense, I think maybe Bonson was onto something that's kind of consistent, even though presuppositional just that kind of blows itself up. However, Van Til did say, no, you can actually appeal to things like evidence and stuff anyway, as long as you're starting from a Christian worldview, which has already presupposed God, which means that we have that capacity for thought and acknowledging what is intelligible and what is reasonable, and therefore evidence has some kind of grounding. I think that's what Van Til would have done.
With Shannon Q duck lips. Okay. No, this isn't your room.
Yeah, but now, I would like to actually.
Now, what I'd like to know from you is Do I
get to ask?
Maybe. But you see, I'm not going to let you run it. You can. Hey, listen. You can giggle and laugh as you usually do, like you're drunk. It just makes you look foolish.
Yeah,
now, listen carefully. In that video, right? You stated that Van Til and his followers, presuppositionalists, present and appeal to evidences as total garbage and evidence.
Yes, I still hold to that.
I mean, excuse me. Okay, that is not the Van Til's position. That is not Van Til's
position.
You just
represented that position.
Okay, why did I send you? Listen to me.
You affirmed it earlier.
If Van Til's position was that, which it is not, why did Tom Notaro write a short book? And by the way, Tom Notaro is pro-Van Tilian apologetics. Why did he write a short book explaining precisely that Van Til was not anti-presenting evidences?
Yes, he was trying to play apologist for Van Til, who was
No. Did you even read the book?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I heard.
Okay, so what is Van Til's position on evidences? Okay.
Which one?
Okay. What is Van Til's basic position on appeal to evidences?
There's more than one.
Okay, let me read this here from No Direction. Jeff, Van Til was opposed to evidentialism as an approach for proof. He had a weird view wherein he seemed to propose a type of argument that was neither inductive or deductive. Yeah, and I think No Direction, you and I had talked about that before, and I remember you attempted to explain that to me, and I think I got mad at Van Til. I apologize if I took that anger out on you. I'm just kidding. I don't think I got that heated. Yeah, that sounds right, and that's one of those things where I mean, it's one of the frustrating things for me about reading Van Til, because if you read what he writes in one book and then you try to read something like, and maybe this is what confuses Darth, because Darth, I think, has probably read more biographies about Van Til and commentary on Van Til than maybe Van Til directly, although who knows. But that starts to change things, because I don't think Van Til was not, I don't think he was precise enough in some of the stuff that he put out there. And I think he was kind of a cantankerous old coot even when he was younger. So go figure, he was one of those kind of people that I don't think really took correction well. And so I think if he modified things, he wouldn't kind of acknowledge that he had moved on. Just sort of like, I think you can see an evolution in his thought, but I don't know that he ever really acknowledged that it evolved. It's, yeah.
So which one are you talking
No,
about?
sir. Listen, my patience is running out with you because you are being dishonest right now. If you have an understanding, you're doing what you always do. It's not going to work, okay?
Sorry, I missed this one. I said Darth said that in a recent video. What the F does that even mean? Yeah, I'm not sure which one you meant, because I did miss this. Darth uses inductive reasoning. That could be a thing. Yeah. Yeah, Shatterhouse, let me know what it was that you were asking about. Van Til went on in the same book to present a deductive argument. See? Yeah, exactly. This is my, that is one of my many problems with Van Til. I think a lot of what he was trying to present in terms of ideas, it's a big mess. Yeah, Darth told me several times that using evidential apologetics within a precept framework is perfectly fine. Yeah, and I remember telling you, Tangelo, back when you were showing me what Darth had put out there, like, because you were talking with Darth about precept, and I think that I had warned you, and it was probably stupid of me to do it, because I thought that Darth kind of had the same approach that Ten Bruggencate and others did, where if you appeal to evidentialism, if you try to go into that, then you're just kind of, you're kind of wasting your time, or you're attempting to meet the non-believer halfway or whatever. So I'm not exactly, to me, I think that I kind of agree with Ten Bruggencate on that, although I think he takes kind of an unnecessarily, it's not a holistic, a kind of purified approach, like it's presuppositionalism or nothing else. But I think evidentialism gets a little bit problematic and it does become really problematic if you're going to end up having a discussion. If you as a Christian are having a conversation with a skeptic and you're talking about looking at evidence and weighing it, and then what I tend to see is, if I'm a third party observer, I'm watching a Christian or a Muslim, and the theist, I'm watching the skeptic, and they're talking about evidence and back and forth, and what does it mean, and what is it, and support and challenges and support for that. And then when the theist starts getting on less firm ground, then precept hits. How do you even know anything? What do you even ground evidence on? That to me is that's the dishonest part, right? Van Til, I think, probably would do something like that. And if he was willing to do something like that, he's just as dishonest and just as silly as anybody else that is willing to do that. If you can concede the discussion about evidence with a skeptic, then you've already conceded that that person has a worldview, that they're rational, that at least most of the stuff within their worldview has some kind of rational, reasonable bearing, that you can sort this stuff out. To get to that part of the conversation where you either lose patience, become frustrated, or fear that you're gonna lose a point, to then challenge them and say, you know what, we've been talking about evidence for 45 minutes. Now I'm not even sure you understand what reality is. How do you even ground things like truth and goodness and beauty and evidence? How do you do that? How do how could you even know without being a believer first? That's horseshit. That's a horseshit move. And if you do that, Tangelo, that's why I told you, like, you probably shouldn't do that. If Darth is telling you that it's okay to do that, it's because Darth is a two-faced, lying prick who has no problem being uncharitable, no problem lying straight to people's face, because he's a narcissistic idiot.
Trust me, it's not going to work. What is Van Til's position on presenting evidences defending things like the resurrection of Jesus Christ?
You never capitulate to the reasoning of the atheist in order to.
Yeah, I'm going to rewind that one a bit there. No direction. The idea of utilizing evidence in Van Tilianism is the role of evidence isn't necessary for believing in God, but can serve as a kind of thing that provides overdetermined justification. Well, that's interesting. Okay, so yeah, so it's basically a bonus, but precept first, and then evidence to overload your victim.
Send evidences.
Okay. No, you said Van Til's position in your original video was that an appeal to evidences whatsoever was shit.
Correct.
That is not Van Til's position.
Yeah, you have to appeal to reasoning.
Listen to me. I'm gonna kick you out of the room very shortly if you don't stop with your usual shtick. Okay, dude, you have mental problems. Okay, if I hear you overtalk me while I'm talking again, if I hear you overtalk me again, I will kick you out of the room. This is what you always do, dude. Whether you believe me or not,
So I think he turned down Smokey's mic at this point because it's really hard to hear what Smokey is attempting to say. But I heard the word Jersey, so Smokey is getting personal at this point.
Listen to you, okay? I really believe that you have mental problems that you're unaware of. Now, listen carefully. Van Til never. Okay, goodbye. Okay, you can get the fuck out of here. Okay, I told you not to overtalk
dirty old Jersey.
Okay, there we have somebody who has serious mental problems. Okay,
projecting now. I don't mean that he's wrong in this, but he is projecting a bit. I think Smokey does have some mental issues going on, especially since the last he had to drop the F word. I don't mean F word as in to fornicate, the more colorful version. The other one, the epithet used against gays. Smokey loves using that. He doesn't think that he's being a bigot when he uses it, even though he's a complete bigot and a massive toolbox.
Right? Serious mental problems.
But not really. They can't be that serious because mental health and psychology, that's bullshit. I mean, maybe mental health really can be solved by prayer and a proper biblical outlook. But I mean, when Darth appeals to this stuff about people being insane or crazy or having mental issues, he's really referring to a profession that he hates, a profession that I think tried to sink its teeth into him a little bit, maybe give him some guidance, and being the noxious narcissist that he is, could not handle. Yeah, because he knows better.
Okay. Did you catch that, Tom Rabbit? Hope you upload that to YouTube. Okay. If anyone would like to come up, yeah, this guy is severely mentally deranged. He doesn't know what he's talking about. When he's questioned, he can't answer certain things about Van Til. Okay. Anyone want to come up? Raise your hand. Agree, disagree on the topic of the room. Sorry about that segue with that mental case, but it happens.
Well, why are you apologizing? It was complete. I mean, if you're like, it was completely self-indulgent, and he's apologizing because the person that he was talking to is clearly just not mentally fit to be listened to. Right. That's what went wrong. Cool.
Okay, so getting back to you, Sam. Yeah, this is a guy who's a mental case who claims he's a Christian. He is regularly unhinged, claims that he understands more about theology and apologetics than he does. And
well, I don't know that he claims that he understands more than he does. I mean, he might understand quite a bit. The fact that he claims he's a Christian, what else do people do in order to be? I mean, Christianity is a claim that Christians make. How do you get the seal of approval? This is something that these guys always do. In Protestant circles, you have to talk like this, right? Because you're not part of the gang. You can have some crazy ideas as a Catholic, but you got that confirmed saint necklace on you, you're a confirmed Catholic, you're in the club. There's none of this, well, he claims to be a Christian. If you're not excommunicated from the Roman Catholic Church, you're good to go. But these Protestants, it's all litmus tests and sola scriptura. It's like they're constantly trying to sort each other out with a secret handshake that's actually like a kind of a game of Calvin ball. It just keeps changing every time somebody does it. So
And he does not really understand Van Tillian apologetics while he claims to, and he misrepresents and mischaracterizes Van Til's various teachings. Okay, so that's what you just heard right there. And I've dealt with him on a number of times before. All right. So, okay, so where did I leave off with you? Did you catch that, Tom Rabbit? Hope you upload that to YouTube.
Excellent work. All right. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up here. I didn't want to do a super long one, so I'm gonna end that where it's at. Bridge the Divide is on here. JL, he is on a road trip. Nice to see you. He said he's here with Johnny O now. Hello, Johnny O, if you can hear me or not, or if it's not too much trouble, JL, pass on the hi, Johnny O. Take care on your road trip and say hi to Irish Demon. He doesn't know who I am. But I've been enjoying some of his stuff, so hopefully, I think this is his first time to the U.S., so hopefully he enjoys it here. Let's see. I think that's just about everything there. Let me open it up a little bit. I'll throw this in here. I've got a few minutes and just in case anybody wants to come on in. All right. And then if nobody wants to, that's fine too. I can always wrap it up. And there's a new one this evening. Somebody had said something about Otangelo going against somebody named, was it MC Toon or Mick Toon? I don't know how it's pronounced, but if that's actually, I don't know who that user is. Is that like a if Otangelo has, I haven't seen Otangelo in a debate in a long time. So, but alas, I don't think we're in the same circles anymore. So, Irish Demon is live. He's stranded in Atlanta. Well, welcome to America, my Irish friend, and welcome to Georgia. I've heard Atlanta is great, but yeah. All right. Welcome, Jedi John Piper. Thanks for joining the show.
What's going on?
Not much, actually. Orge343, who was actually in the early video, you doing an open stream? Yeah, Orge. The link is in the chat. Should be just above you. Actually, I was gonna pin that real quick. Hang on a second.
This is my first time on StreamYard. If I stop cam, will that turn off just the cam and it'll keep the mic going? Is that how that works?
Okay. Yeah. If you disable your mic, that I think kind of kicks you.
I'm gonna try. There we go. Okay, that makes sense. All right.
Yeah.
I only have a few minutes to chat, but I at least thought I'd share a couple tidbits here, if anyone's interested. I have taken a lot of the online classes at Westminster Theological Seminary, where Van Til taught at and was influential in a lot of the people that are still there. One of his books has a foreword by William Edgar, I believe is the name. Bill Edgar is what he goes by. He has a class there that's worth taking. So if you go to wts.edu, I believe it is, you can also get Van Til has a class that's still up there if anyone's interested. Later on in Van Til's life, there was this breakaway between the Reconstructionist group, the Bonsons. There was another guy who had like a 2-letter name, like a JJ something. Rushdoony, right? Rushdoony was another.
Yeah. Was it J.R. Rushdoony?
J.R. Rushdoony, yeah. So the Christian Reconstructionists go their own way, and then Van Til and his ilk all go the other way. And again, this all happens in the 80s, essentially, right? 70s heading into the 80s.
Got that wrong, folks. If you're going to Google it, it's R.J. Rushdoony. And he is nuts.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. So there's the nuts, and then there's the not quite as nuts. I would put Van Til in the not quite as nuts category.
Okay.
But Van Til did not appreciate what I mean, they're all right wingers, but he did not appreciate what the right wing was doing with what he was attempting to do, especially the Reconstruction stuff. These guys are in their DMT letters. Yeah, he didn't like what they were doing with the Reconstruction stuff, and it's really in the world that I was in while I was a Christian. You were either a Bonson. I mean, it was on that divide, right? You were either a Bonson presuppositionalist, or a Ventilian presuppositionalist. This mattered, right? What camp you were in, because if you were a Bonson presup, you were not a real Christian.
Oh, good Lord!
You were, but you know what I'm saying. Like you had major deficiencies and needed an extra helping of grace. So I thought I'd at least point that out. It's funny to hear somebody defend both of them. And clearly he's okay with what Bonson ultimately did. And Bonson was a known asshole. And same with Van Til at the end of his life. If you listen to the lectures, if anyone's interested, I believe they're still available on Westminster's website. You can download them. But Scott,
are they all free?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Let's see. I'm reading the chat too. You know what? I can't remember anything about Til's arguments at this point. I mean, I understand the general gist. It has been a long time since I've touched any of that stuff. Jefferson, you said you're reading some of his stuff. You might be able to get there sooner.
To be honest, I got through like a couple 3 chapters, and I kept going back and rereading his definition of God. And I think it's defending Christianity or I can't remember which one it is. I have a mental block when it comes to remembering the titles of because they're just they're so vanilla that it's hard to remember. But he gives a definition of God that I read. I read it 5 times. I kept reading, and I'm like, this is catastrophic. Like it just seemed like an old guy verbalizing through what is essentially a little kid saying that I love you this much times infinity, stretching their arms as wide across as possible. It's like, this really isn't cool. Like, it's just like, well, it's this and it's this. It's never that and it's never that, but it's always this. And it's just like, oh, stop.
There were, I mean, some of that stuff when I would go through it, it never made any sense, right? And it's hard to ever have it click. Just because of the nature of what it is they're trying to do with it, and eventually you just get to that point. And this is why I think dealing with someone like Darth is the best thing. Is just ask him to continue to define what he means by this sort of stuff, right? I mean, at some point he's got to hit bedrock, and then at that point you can fight a little bit.
Yeah, that would be interesting if somebody asked him, like, okay, well, where do you like? Okay, so the group that you said that you came from, it was that like denomination. Or was that like your particular church, or was it actually more like a denomination-wide thing where it was like Van Til is purer than Bonson? If you're Bonson, you're into, it's like,
Yeah. So the main denominations that would be around there would be like the PCA, Presbyterian Church in America, which is the conservative wing of the Presbyterians. You would also have the OPC, the Orthodox Presbyterian Church. Those were the main offshoots of where Van Til would be. What it really boiled down to in terms of the difference between what Van Til was doing, what Bonson was doing, had to do more with how do you view the rest of the world. Bonson, Rushdoony, those guys, they viewed the rest of the way they were post-millennials. They believed that eventually one day everyone was going to be a Christian, and it was the Christian's duty to create a Christian world, which is why today they are very dangerous people, right? I mean, it is a very dangerous ideology, and I think one of the reasons why Van Til and ultimately the Westminster side of things is not as dangerous as they don't see it that way. They see that the Christians will always be this subcategory through this eschaton until the next eschaton comes about, in which case at that point the full kingdom will be established. But our church had both people in it. And I think that answered your question. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, no. That I think. Yeah, I just wondered if it was like super local, because it just seems like you could hit a church that kind of like, hey, you know what? If you're into Van Til, that's basically like, okay, people that acknowledge the original Star Wars trilogy is superior to the prequels, and Bonsonites would be the ones that are like, no, the prequels are better.
Yeah. I would just say it's the other way around, to be honest. But
okay.
Let's not go there though.
right. Yeah. See, even then, I'm already kind of telegraphing. Yeah. Sorry. Even though I have problems with the original trilogy though. Now, but let's not get into Star Wars. Orge, thanks for stopping in.
Hey, yeah, I was gonna pipe in, but Jedi up there had a pretty good run about the topic, so I don't want to interrupt him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take off. I've got some games to play with my friends. That sounds really bad.
That's more important than this. Yeah, no.
Let me just leave with this. One last thought. One of Van Til, and when you're listening to both when you're reading Van Til as you go forward, and when you're listening to Darth Dawkins and any objections you might want to bring, Van Til's big point was he grew up in the early 20th century, and he was fighting a lot with the liberalism, the Christian liberalism that was emerging at that time, and then also the former reformers of the day in terms of their epistemology and grounding it at a Christian starting point. So to a certain extent, I'm still sympathetic to Van Til's point that, hey, we all ground our ultimate philosophical our ultimate philosophical starting point somewhere. And I for me now, a skeptic, right? I mean, I'm going to ground it there, and that's fine. And at some point, and Bill Edgar will say this, and he said this, look, at some point, and so Bill Edgar is a Christian. He learned from Van Til. And he even said, like, look, at some point, the Christian has to take God as their starting point as a purely faith position, right? It is irrational. At some point, it is a circular argument. And Van Til acknowledged that fact, but his point was, no, you have to start every part of your thought process from a Christian standpoint, right? There's no part of the thought process that can be outside of a Christian standpoint. That doesn't make sense. Van Til never started with, hey, I need to prove God, right? I need to do this thing that Darth is doing with it, right? I mean, I don't know Van Til. He's dead. He doesn't have a thought on it now, but I don't think he would be very appreciative of what this crew is trying to, the Darth crew is trying to do with it. His apologetic. And then again, some names, if you guys are interested and you want to read through this or listen to it, really, actually, the lectures, WTS, Westminster Theological Seminary, and then look up their lectures. Scott Oliphant learned directly from Van Til and had a personal relationship with Van Til. Bill Edgar had a personal relationship with Van Til. Those are two guys that you can listen to that knew him personally. And if you want more kind of Van Til thought that is consistent with Van Til, there's a Reformed Forum is a podcast that has a whole Van Til series. So if you're interested and you want to waste your time studying that stuff,
well, thanks for that.
Those are some resources to dig into.
No, thanks for that. That's good stuff, especially for anybody who's curious. Yeah, if anybody wants to do a deep dive on it, shoot, go for it. I might dip my toe in, but I'm going to be honest. I'll probably just as likely draw my foot back as soon as I do. Like, nope, it's just too much Van Til. But
it probably will be. Yeah.
Anyway. I mean, because the odds of me encountering Darth Dawkins, although I think people tune in to see this in the hopes that Darth will show up, and there'll be a real raging dumpster fire between he and I. But at this point, I don't think that's likely. So it's like, do I invest that much time into watching, getting a better grounding and Van Tilian stuff, only to be like, nah, I don't really buy it. Especially when at the end of the day, Darth's going to come at me with like, how did you justify one single fact not relying on a God? Like, because I think that God's made up. So come at me, bro. Like, like, and then the Van Til is going to be the least of our disagreements. So
Yep. Right on. Great show tonight. Sorry if I took over the post chat too much. But,
no, that's fine. No, that's what the post chats. That's what the post chat's kind of for. I mean, it was either you or Otangelo. Otangelo would. I used to let him in here, and he would basically, the viewership would go from like the 90s or 80s and drop down into like the mid 50s when Otangelo would jump in here.
I think I'm seeing the viewership grow. So
it's not plummeting. I mean, you could. I would actually, my ears would pop. And I would get a little dizzy. Otangelo's descent was it was noticeable. So. Yeah. Thanks for that.
All right, gentlemen. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Take care.
You too. And Orca, you were a special guest featured on that one at the beginning. So.
Oh, I missed that. Sorry. Was it the last one I did with Darth, or?
It was the one where you were in Praise's stream. Praise was doing a video where he was criticizing my stuff, and Darth stopped by, and then the Smokey got brought in later, and Darth freaked out. well, you guys were all there, and he's like, no, it's either him or me.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah.
I gotta hand it to you though. You have the ability to kind of hang out with these guys and kind of like maintain some level of cordiality that I that it doesn't get really. I don't get that. So I mean, not that I don't mean I don't understand that. I mean, I don't receive that. Like if I go in there, it's not just enemy spotted. It's just like I show up and I'm a cancer that has to be chemoed out. You know, it's like get rid of him fast.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is there's a few guys I'm that way with. Darth doesn't like talking to me, obviously, because I guess he considers me so inferior to him that it's not worth his time.
Sorry to interrupt. Before I forget, someone and you know who you are. I apologize. I was going to highlight the comment. Asked me if I was going to go over Tom Rabbit's most recent video. I think you meant Darth Dawkins versus Eisen. I'm not going to go over that one tonight because that one there's a lot going on. Even though that's like just a 19-minute one, there's a lot going on that one. I am going to do a video on that one, but I'm going to do it separate. And the one that was really interesting to me was Darth Dawkins and thoroughly discussed the problem of evil. I'm going to do one of those tomorrow morning. And then if I get time, I might do another one on Sunday, provided I'm not doing, I wanted to do a review of Randolph Richardson versus Darth Dawkins from a link earlier, but I never did set up an appointment with Randolph. So we might have to wait and do that next week. But anyway, that's out of the way. So Orge, go ahead. You were saying Darth finds you mentally and intellectually inferior, and
it's one of those terrible things. Like you say, you get other guys. I get along with them, and I think part of the reason is they'll talk about topics, right? Topics plural. Darth is specific about we are doing what I want to do and the way I want to do it, and if I'm not interested in that, then, well, there's your hissy fit, right? That's exactly what was going on in the two interactions I've had with him.
Yeah. And somebody mentioned that, Tom did just drop a video. The one that he dropped, it's Darth gets called out by Eddie. Eddie also goes by the name, I think his YouTube username is Brute Facts. I think he's got a podcast named that. Yeah, that's a weird conversation. The video that I saw was from Clubhouse Debates. It's a YouTube channel.
Gotcha.
It's over an hour long, and it starts off, it's like Darth's made a new friend. They talk for about a half an hour, and then everything's going fine, and then they get into this stuff, and Darth starts hearing some things from Eddie that maybe aren't too pure, and then he starts kind of pushing back on some things, and then they get into this whole thing where Eddie, Brute Facts, he tells him, you're conflating epistemology and ontology. And Darth, he doesn't he doesn't go full tilt diva, but he does get pretty bad. And he basically just, it's like he made a friend and he made an enemy in an hour.
Yeah. I mean, I'm waiting impatiently for the Darth phase to pass because it seems like these weird ass YouTube communities that we're in really go in phases, and like I'm shocked Darth hasn't old news yet because it's the same thing every time.
I think that's probably why. I think that's part of the appeal in a way. The kind of perverse appeal is that he doesn't learn, and when you see him, like I pointed it out with the last video I did. Like if you see him change tactic or anything like that, it's usually from lots and lots of pushback on something where he got something really obviously wrong, and then he makes enough of a change so he can't get caught out on that thing that doesn't acknowledge that it was ever a problem to begin with.
Yeah,
right? and then just moves.
What's that? If I can pronounce that, obfuscate. Thank you. Yeah, just obfuscate and ignore the entire conversation because.
Just don't ask me to say obfuscatory. God damn it!
Right. you people and your lexicons.
I used to be able to pronounce that word perfectly, and then I stopped drinking. So maybe I just thought I was getting it right, and I was always just slaughtering it. But with a couple belts of whiskey in you, and you feel like you can say and do anything. Algorithm says, thanks all, I got to run. It's noon there in Australia. Man, it's late there.
Dedicated viewer.
Thank you Thank you, Al Gore Rhythm. Take it easy. And yeah, well, you got anything else going on, Jorge? Steam didn't do a video. Speed didn't do a video today, did he?
I think he did. I can't remember. I work during his streams now, so I don't get a chance to visit him.
Okay. Yeah, I can't remember if he did. I didn't get the notification this time. So, yeah, which would be kind of weird because I do join. Although, I haven't liked one in like a week because he sent me email links and I've joined in, but I haven't been watching. So I haven't maybe YouTube has decided not to bother with sending me notifications.
Yeah, that could be it.
That would be
You know why the public streams have gone recently? I haven't been in one, and this is probably the first one I've been in of, again, this little weird ass group we have here in a while. Speed has his, but Gurr hasn't done one. Praise barely does them. Am I just not in the right places anymore for these things?
I don't know. I don't keep an eye too much. Well, I haven't seen Gurr do much. I mean, I'm subscribed to both of his channels because he used to do Gurr streams, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I haven't seen him do anything. And if someone asked me, I would have been like, if he is, I'm not getting notifications. Or if I'm getting notifications, they're kind of getting buried. But Praise, I don't know. I know Praise is still doing stuff, but I don't know how much he's doing. Where he's doing live, those live multi-hour hangouts. So. Somebody.
All right, so it's not everyone's avoiding me. They're just not happening. Good. I feel better.
I think they've kind of calmed down, or maybe they've shifted to something that I'm not subscribed to. But
gotcha.
Because I'm not seeing. Although, because Praise is doing one right now. Expose Tim Henderson as a hyper something. I don't know. He's calling out a Christian for not being Christian and not for being the wrong kind or something.
Yeah, that's 90% of the stuff nowadays.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, and it's just he's just sort of following in Smokey's footsteps there. It's how can we?
Smokey's the one that's been gaining viewers, so I'm not too surprised.
I was looking at one of his videos came through because something got pushed to me, and I got a recommendation, and he's just screaming at this guy on Clubhouse about atheists killing themselves, atheism and suicide, and he's just being a complete raging prick. Yeah. And when he and I think it's something like 6 hours long, he was I can't remember what he called the video, but it's looking for atheist numbskulls or something he doesn't use the word numbskull, okay. But yeah, he's like hunting for people to embarrass,
like a good cook. Yes.
Yeah. In the spirit of Christ, he was out there, looking to hurl insults and embarrass people publicly. So I started watching it, and it did kind of intrigue me. Although he's just straw manning and rapid fire, like he built a machine gun that fires straw men at people. And there was another one that I was going to watch, but I can't devote too much time to his stuff because usually he talks kind of slow even when he's screaming, so I crank it up.
Yeah,
and then
very deliberate cadence.
Yeah, and then it gets a little too exhausting. Hey, secular pagan mom, how's it going? Just back on my phone. That's all right. Well, I think I'm probably just gonna take this off air now. Thanks everybody for watching. That was the only video I was gonna do tonight. If I'm feeling up to it tomorrow, I will. I don't see why I won't be. I'll probably do another video review, either of the Eisen video or the Thoroughly video. I will also be doing the one where Darth gets called out by Brute Facts for mixing epistemology and ontology, because that one's pretty funny. I'm interested to see how Tom Rabbit's edited that. So, yeah, thanks everybody for showing up. Jorge, thanks for coming. Mom, if you're listening, thanks for showing up here at the tail end. And special thanks to Jedi John Piper for showing up and giving us that quick rundown of Van Til versus Bonson. Clearly, Van Til, I guess, is better than Bonson, which I didn't doubt. But, I mean, I think that's a little bit like saying, diarrhea is better than Ebola. Sorry, that's gross, but
that is very gross.
Anyway, folks, have a good night. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you later. Enjoy and be good. Later.